and welcome back to 305 Insights, the part two of our outlook on the 2024 NFL Draft, which this episode we're going to talk about the winners and losers, and I'm already just thinking of the biggest loser that I have, and it's not a player, it's a team.
Oh.
I think we're all in unison here with this pick.
No.
I mean, it's the Atlanta Falcons. To put it simply, folks, you sign a 36-year-old quarterback coming off a major injury, and you say, you know what? You're worth 4 years, $180 million with $100 million guaranteed. And we had the 8th pick in the draft. We could go the route of, say, giving you another wide receiver. We could get you an offensive tackle. But what this team really needed was a defensive end. They had their pick of, again, you don't want to get the kid from UCLA. You can get Dallas Turner, not a hometown kid, but played in Alabama. He was in the SEC championship basically every year, so he was well versed. Speaking of versed, well versed with Atlanta. Smooth transition. The other pick would have been Jared Verse, stud out of Florida State. Thank you, Mark Norvell. And you end up with Michael Penix Jr., who, again, I am not knocking. I want to state this out front. I am not knocking Michael Penix Jr. If you ask me, if he did not tear both his ACLs, have a shoulder injury, and was just, didn't complete any seasons outside of his last 2 years in college football, I think he would have been a much higher draft pick. And in the sense of 8's high. But I think he would have been conversation for one being the top draft picks. He has a great release. He reads defenses really well. It's just the injury history and the fact that he's 24 years old. So you draft a 24-year-old with the 8th overall pick, and you're basically tied to Kirk Cousins for at least 2 years. All the value that you get in the NFL is on a rookie contract for the first 4 years of their career, and they have the 5th-year option in the first round, a first-round draft pick. You're wasting half the value of a Penix Jr., who, by the way, if Penix was 22, this would be completely different, in my opinion. If they drafted J.J. McCarthy at number 8, you can make the case, okay, you give J.J. a year or two, to develop. That you can make that argument. But at 24 years old, unfortunately for Penix, again, with all due respect, the brother can play. But I'm not bashing him. But he's basically a finished product. There's not much more that you can squeeze out of that, juice. So that's my loser in the draft in the sense of that organization just really. I mean, I know. Well, we'll touch on that later, but I know it's an indictment of the 2025 draft class for quarterbacks that 6 quarterbacks won in the top 12 picks. Bo Nix should not have been the 12th overall pick in this draft, and that might be my other loser, but we'll get to that later. Overall, and again, I'm not punishing the kids. I'm really focusing on the team.
I was about to say,
the kids, I am not going after the kids.
Yeah.
The kids are fine, but
I'm a grown man.
Yeah,
I'm 40.
He did not play for them.
My loser.
But I've hogged the first 4 minutes of the podcast. I want to get your guys' thoughts, not on my loser. If you guys want to have input, sure. No, but
I think you.
Who's your guys' next loser in this draft?
Mine is the Raiders.
The Raiders.
They drafted Max Mayer last year as their tight end, and then they go and get Brock Bowers.
That's actually
there's some to me. I think that's just a big L for me, because looking down from 13 and after that, if they could have gone the route of going just because they did well by getting Jackson Powers in the second round.
Yes,
great second round pick for the Raiders. Now, in my opinion, what they could have needed and used is defense, and just stick with the offensive line. And after Bowers was drafted, you had Fuaga from Oregon State, Latu, the one you mentioned earlier, Byron Murphy, Dallas Turner, Mims, Jared Verse, and then Fautino. Then that's it. We don't want to talk about offense. But yeah, those picks after Brock Bowers, I think, carry more value than what they got with Bowers, in my opinion. I think they really dropped the ball because if you drafted probably the best tight end in last year's draft to just draft the best tight end in this year's draft, there's questions to be made and answered right away because unless they're doing jumbo packages with tight ends,
I mean,
which
like the Rob Gronkowski and
Like,
what's his name,
I
Aaron
think-
Hernandez, like just doing those double tight ends.
it's just very very like scratch heading, head scratching worthy pick in my opinion. Because you get Jackson Powers, and then you get third round, you get another tackle. So they could have literally just went just straight offensive tackle to protect their quarterback, or they could
Gardner
just
Minshew.
or they could have went defense the first pick and got Verse or
Maybe
Latu,
maybe get
or
Murphy
even
at
Murphy.
defensive tackle.
So it's like
Crosby probably does need help though, right?
Crosby can't do it alone, but that's my L, and that's my reasoning for it. We'll see how it carries on for them, but like they would have had an A+ draft if they didn't go Bowers, in my opinion, and if they drafted D lineman.
Eric, thoughts on that, or you're a loser?
My loser is it's the Patriots.
Interesting.
Interesting.
I think they have so many holes that they need to fix on their team that I don't think Drake May is going to be the answer. And then you go ahead and like draft another quarterback in the 6th round.
Yeah, our boy.
Yeah.
I wanted to text him like, "Yo, Joe Milton.
Yeah,
we got him."
Who's adamant that he's not switching to tight end, by the way.
But like, I just didn't understand.
Strongest arm in the draft, right?
Yeah, bro, that guy's got a
Cannon.
That guy's got a chooch. But so no, I just didn't understand. I just didn't understand. Like, I felt that they were in a position that they should have just traded of that pickup to get maybe another weapon or maybe to get more.
So you're comfortable with like their quarterback room?
No,
prior
absolutely,
to, like,
absolutely
the Drake
not.
May pick?
Absolutely not. But I don't think Drake May is going to be the answer. I think you're going to put that poor young man out there to try to fill up all these problems that you has as
At
an
least he's
organization.
better than he's a better option than what they have currently. He has good size for quarterback.
Like, you can tell going into the draft that they're like, "Hey, we're gonna draft the quarterback." Now, Drake May, like, he looks good, but I just feel that there's so many issues on that team and so many things that need to get fixed that Drake May was not the answer. And especially in the division that we have, you have the Bills that they've already got Josh Allen. You have Tua, and then you got Aaron Rodgers. I rather prepare.
I did
and
like their
build.
second pick.
Yeah, I think,
The wide receiver Polk.
but it's just also the Patriots are trying. I feel that it was, Bills out. Gerard Mayo's in there. It's this whole new image. Mac Jones is out, so they're trying to like replace and just try to rebuild. But and I alluded to you.
I think I agree with that. They're revamping the image of what Belichick has imprinted on them for all these years.
And I think like to put so much on like a at a talent of that level, like Drake May is a good quarterback, but I don't think he's going to be an answer. And I think it's going to hurt him more as a player and to his career that the Patriots are not built for his success.
They could have had Marvin Harrison.
Well, my thing is,
or Malik Neighbors.
Okay, so this is, again, we kind of talked about it very briefly in the last podcast. 6 quarterbacks went in the top 12 picks.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason for that because next year the group of quarterbacks is not that great. And so what you're doing is basically for the Patriots. I do agree with the sense that they probably should have accumulated more draft assets. But the problem is you're weighing Drake May versus draft assets. And when the next year's draft doesn't look that great, and you're going into this year with Jacoby Brissett and Bailey Zappi, it's just Drake May's not going to start the first 4, 5, 6 games. You're basically saying, "Hey, Jacoby,
you don't think they're going to put him in there?
No,
They're gonna do what they did like with the Titans.
they're going to do. They're going to. I
Will
think
Levis came in half the season and he played the other half.
Well, also too because Ryan Tannehill got hurt.
Exactly. I'm sure one of these bums are gonna get hurt.
Oh,
But that's what I'm saying. Like Jacoby Brissett's going to play the first X amount of games. There are no expectations this year in New England. They're not.
So if there's no expectation, like, and I know the point that you're trying to get to, because if there's no expectations, hey, you know what? Let's get some experience under your belt. This is kind of a wash season. Get your experience out there, and you're gonna learn. You're gonna hit the wall so many times. You're gonna learn from all the mistakes that you make. But as an organization, remember, you gotta sell that to 52 other players on that team.
Yeah, but didn't
But I mean,
didn't the Colts do that with Anthony Richardson? Like all these rookie quarterbacks from last season, like they just first game, like we drafted you, you're the quarterback. That's it. Like you don't need to be put.
And they get blasted, and then
you don't need to
miss the rest of the season.
Isn't that part of the learning curve that they need to go through?
Well, health wise, I don't think that's like that's what I'm saying. If you build a team, right, and the only thing that's missing is that quarterback position,
I think he wins the job.
What? Remember? Oh yeah,
I think he wins the job.
He's gonna have to win the game.
He starts the first game for the Patriots,
and that's horrifying.
But even then, if that happens, then you have your quarterback of the future, and quarterback is resolved.
Remember what happened
that's
to Zach Wilson?
It's like my Panthers.
Zach Wilson should have never been drafted that high,
the
though.
Panthers.
Huh?
Zach Wilson should have never been drafted that high. We're talking about someone who's been successful at UNC, at a Power 5 conference, and has gone up against the likes of Clemson, FSU,
Who's BYU,
and BYU. And it's the same thing. No, I know, but I'm saying that exactly.
Who's BYU?
Like
Birmingham Young.
And it's almost the same thing that happened with Josh Allen. Until Stephon Diggs got there, Josh Allen was not that good of a quarterback. He never was that good of a quarterback in college when he faced Wisconsin. And I'm not even talking about.
But there was something there though, because there was.
And what's not there with Drake May? He's 6'3", 220, 6'4", 225, 230 pounds. He's got the build that you want. And if you resolve quarterback, you can fix everything much faster than trying to find a quarterback. And that's all I'm saying with, again, I agree that they should have accumulated more draft assets.
He just needs to polish his game.
But with the outlook of quarterbacks over the next few years in the draft, and I think we talked about this offline, with the QBs who are free agents in the offseason, do you see New England really splurging on Jared Goff?
Do you see them splurging for Dak Prescott?
Exactly. No, you don't. I don't see the Patriots spending.
If you're for me, I would rather take an experienced quarterback with talent built around him than a rookie and building off of him.
Okay, so if you're saying that, then you're saying there's so many holes in this team. How are you going to fill those holes if you're paying Jared Goff $40 million? If you're paying Dak Prescott $40 million?
Those holes are already filled with the young talent that you acquired around that expensive quarterback.
How?
By drafting young, talented like Marvin Harrison Jr., by drafting those type of weapons.
Okay, if they traded off the third pick, they're not getting Marvin Harrison Jr. because no matter what, the Cardinals are getting him. They're trading.
I mean, I used him as an example, but what I'm trying to tell you is you equipped yourself with young talent that eventually you're probably going to have to pay them in 3 years, right? And before you pay them, you can get a veteran quarterback or a quarterback that has experience and has success in the past and use that asset to be successful. And when the wide receiver wants to get paid, hey, you know what? We'll just draft another wide receiver and just bring another young talent.
Yes or no? Is the ultimate value in the NFL a cheap quarterback?
The ultimate value
in the NFL, a cheap quarterback.
When you say cheap quarterback, do you mean drafted cheap quarterback or like a person who signed free agent?
You're not going to sign a cheap quarterback in free
I mean,
agency. Sam Darnold cost $10 million.
The only reason why it's a cheap quarterback is because you haven't proven anything.
It's because they're but okay, yes or no? The ultimate value is a cheap quarterback.
Yeah.
So why would the Patriots pay $45 million to Dak Prescott when you still have to hope that you draft a defensive end? Which, by the way, historically, rookie defensive ends don't get double-digit sack numbers.
Wait a minute.
So you're going to have to get
the Dolphins drafted.
I mean, they don't expect them to anyway. So that's neither here nor there. But and again, it's weird because we're having a discussion, and I say I agree.
It's like
with
we're
you,
on line, but we're not. Yeah, I can't. Wait.
I think Kamara gets 5 sacks.
But I just.
What? I'm not even.
Sorry.
But I just. That's why I feel like they didn't win. They didn't win me over in their draft, just because of the fact of you're sitting at number 3, and it's crazy to say it, but it's like I feel like it was a reach for Drake May. Just because of what you said before, that next year there's not that great talented quarterbacks coming out of college. So like his value.
But that's why he's not a reach.
Yeah.
Because like Bo Nix is a reach at 12. Penix is a reach at 8. Even though we've heard all the rumors that there were a bunch of teams trying to trade at teams that are trying to trade into the top 10 to get Penix.
Oh, really?
There's a reason why Denver got.
What are your sources?
All these people who make stuff up.
No, but I get. That's what I'm just saying. It's just like the quarterback. It goes back into like you want a cheap quarterback, so then you can splurge your money around everything else around it. But I think the situation of this young quarterback going into it. It's not like a J.J. McCarthy situation or like, I mean, obviously that's what you would want, but you're not going to, there's no way. And historically, there's probably a handful of quarterbacks that have gone to a terrible franchise and was able to revamp it.
No, yeah, this is a discussion we've always had is the I forgot what the exact phrase that we use because we always use an exact phrase, but it's the place you're placed in where like Trevor Lawrence has been good in high school, has been good in college, and he's shown you bits and pieces of being a good quarterback because he is an elite talent. But he got stuck with Urban Meyer. Yeah. And then he had one good year, and then he was injured last year. So people are still wondering, hey, is Trevor Lawrence actually that good? When he's
you can also
everything that you look in a quarterback.
You can also make an argument with Mahomes with Andy Reid.
Exactly.
You know, imagine
it's where you're placed.
You know, it's all about. But I don't think for Drake May, New England's a good place for him, just because of what's surrounding it and the whole vamping of. It's like a whole new like franchise. It's like the Texans, like when they first got into the NFL.
I was just about to say, I think what you're trying to say is that if the Patriots wanted to find a blueprint, they should have followed the Texans blueprint because they drafted and they signed weapons first, knowing that they needed a QB after Deshaun Watson left, and they drafted Stroud. And granted, we didn't think he was going to be this good, and sure enough, like he has the weapons on that team.
Well, he drafted good,
and they took off with him.
But
I think that's what you're trying to say, that the Patriots they're not implementing that type of blueprint for Drake May. Like,
if you're going to draft a quarterback,
what weapons do the Patriots have? I can't even think of one.
Well, they got Juju, who's not that great.
I can't even think of one.
KJ Olsen.
No, they had there was a young kid who got injured last year. Born.
Case closed.
Oh yes.
My point exactly. Case closed. But I agree with Eric. Like I think whether it was free agent signings that it's not Juju Smith-Schuster.
But I think asking a lot.
Well, but wait, I think don't you guys think that even though you guys are saying that the Patriots are going to be different, you're still judging them off of the Bill Belichick era type stuff, are you guys not? Because you have no idea what.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, we don't know.
So you guys are saying this stuff like, oh, historically, which is all we have to go off. I'm not saying you guys are wrong, but historically, the Patriots have been outside of
Yeah,
Tom Brady, have been an anemic offense. But now it's a Jared Mayo production.
Ooh.
Like we don't know what the Patriots are going to look like. They have a solid tight end.
Yeah, Jared
And Hunter
Mayo
Henry.
is trying to catch up.
We're just
to
you
today's game.
know what it is. We're just talking based off of initial speculation, because the same could be said for like the Dolphins defense and Anthony Weaver. Like we could have a crap defense or we could have a good defense. The same thing.
We know they're going to be good because they've been good over the past few years.
Everything's a
It's the same
gamble.
for the
Just
Patriots,
have
like-
a calculated gamble.
Brought to you by.
The same thing with Antonio Pierce in Oakland. Like there's expectations off rip when you first look at it. But then, like, we just don't know yet. Like, there's not until the season starts.
I don't hope because I'm a Dolphins fan. But
until the season starts, we don't know anything.
But what I'm saying is, like, you look at Drake May and like the options that he has in that offense. It's like a hey man, just game manage, like take care of the ball. We're not gonna ask you to do a lot of things, but it's hard to tell an athlete, right? Like, hey, we just want you to do this. Like, don't go crazy, and stick to the script that we gave you. And then you're down 14 points. You're down 2 touchdowns, and it's the fourth quarter, and they're still telling you no, stick to the script. Like it. Then then all of a sudden, hey, all right, we gotta start opening up the playbook, and then you're opening up the playbook to God knows who you're throwing it to, or what. It's just the point that I'm trying to get to is the Patriots have not equipped themselves enough to go draft a quarterback that high. If you're going to draft a quarterback that high, I'd rather have a highly successful offense and a really bad defense. If you understand, I'd rather go top heavy with offense or start going with the wide receivers or start getting more weapons to build off of a future that you're trying to build off of with the quarterback.
So then you like what the Miami Dolphins are doing with Tua then, if you think that you want to. Anyways, so we're going to switch to winners. And for me, I'll go first, Alan. Sure. What I think, and I'm viewing this from the point of not who they drafted, but what they can sell to their fan base. Chicago's a winner. You get Caleb Williams, and you get Odunze.
They're a different team this year
at wide receiver. So that means you go in with Odunze, you go in with Keenan Allen, you have
DeAndre Swift.
DeAndre Swift at one running back.
DeAndre Swift?
You have DJ Moore. DJ Moore's there, right?
Wait. DJ Moore, yes.
Yeah. Because that's who Carolina traded because they have such a good owner.
Whatever.
And that's a completely different offense. Now, you're making your fan base forget that you have a horrible coach, that you've switched out offensive coordinators year after year. But at the end of the day, what you're selling to the fan base is we have our future franchise, even though we just drafted Justin Fields a few years ago. But I promise you, this is our franchise quarterback. And we draft an explosive wide receiver, which is basically signaling to the fan base, we're done drafting cornerbacks, defensive people. Like this is a new era. This is a new dawn for the Chicago Bears of we're trying to catch up to the 21st century of football, where it's not going to be Rex Grossman. It's not going to be Jim McMahon. It's not going to be even Jake Cutler running this team. We're going to have what a lot of people believe is an incredible athlete in Caleb Williams. You're going to have a lot of weapons. It's going to be a new Chicago Bears team. Again, I'm viewing this from the point of the pitch to the fan base. Do I think Caleb Williams is going to be this generational quarterback? No. And it's for all the reasons that we were talking about with Drake May. And previously, it's the position you're put in. Now, luckily, they're doing everything that in their power to make it easier for him. You have a we could say top 10, right? Keenan Allen, top 10 wide receiver when healthy. You have DJ Moore, who's a really good wide receiver. And now you have Odunze, who's a rookie contract that you're going to have with Caleb Williams for the next 4 years. You have a really good body in DeAndre Swift. Great offense. They're trying to build it all together on that side of the football. So we'll see how it goes. But for right now, they're my big winner. And I'll let you guys talk.
I think it's a cop-out answer. that one.
Really?
It's like the easy. No, but I do agree. I mean, everything made sense with the Bears. I think it was. We talked about it in a previous podcast with with Justin Fields, and I think a good deed was done by letting the Bears let Justin Fields go. And hey, look, we've had a bad relationship. Hey, wish you luck, and they sent them to a successful franchise for the most part. That's a franchise that there's
Who's going to use him on special teams? Apparently,
Oh, nice.
that's a report that came.
But no, I do love the Bears. I love what the Bears did. But
Who's your winner?
My winner, I'm my other team I'm a fan of the Cardinals. I do like what the Cardinals did with the multiple picks that they had.
They had 12.
Yeah,
That's a whole new team.
and that's what they needed. Honestly, I think that with what they had before, letting go of Cliff, letting go of their GM, it was kind of what we just talked about with the Patriots. We need to reset this whole thing. And right off the bat, how do you win the fans over?
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Get a weapon for your quarterback.
Get a weapon for your quarterback. You're paying your quarterback. Got to get a weapon for him. And then you're looking at. Then they went defense for the most part. It was edge rusher, corner, safety, edge rusher, corner. Out of Miami too. They got a Miami guy. But
Who'd they get?
Jaden Davis. But all in all,
Trey Benson went there.
Very
Great pick.
Yeah, and they have trade back. So there's a lot of picks.
James Conner liability.
Well, Connor got hurt,
and then you have DeMarcado, I think his name, and then who was the other running back that they had with DeMarcado?
I don't know, but it's one of those things where I think literally if Arizona had one pick and it was their first round pick and they had Marvin Harrison, it was a great draft for them.
Yeah.
Also, too, I'm sorry, but every pick that they got that was, let's say, offensive was it's a very exciting pick. Like, look at the two that we just talked about: Marvin Harrison and Trey Benson. Like, those are two that you're like, oh man, these are guys that had a very promising college career coming in, and they're going to get playing time on the field.
For me, what would have absolutely put it over the top for them? I know it's going to be a random name to throw out, but the tight end from Texas, Sanders, I think he went in the third, right? Like, imagine if they got him in the second.
Yeah, that would.
And here's a tight end, here's an explosive tight end, here's a explosive running back. I'm not saying Trey Benson,
but I did like the fact that they went with the edge rusher in that second pick because
would they have TJ? No, not TJ Watt. He was TJ Watt a few years ago, right?
JJ,
the carcass of JJ Watt,
and then that's it.
Chris Jones last there, 2 years ago?
And Buda Baker.
Buda's bread for him.
But he's going to start asking for money. I don't know if they signed him yet, but then they drafted later on. They get a safety as well.
My favorite highlight of Buda Baker is when DK chased him down.
Yeah, I know. You love that.
That thing was, bro.
But like I said, they had 12 picks, and I felt all 12 picks were very
of value.
Yes, of value. So that's my winner. What about you, Miguel?
So I couldn't decide between two teams in terms of winners. I will go with first. I'm going to say the Rams. I think the Rams.
Yes.
Lost a generational talent with Donald. A force in the middle of the D-line.
Oh my God! I know why you picked them.
Woo!
But they drafted back to back.
Back to back.
Gosh, they're so.
Jared Verse, baby,
and Fisk.
Braden Fisk. I'm just echoing you here, brother.
And then they went in. We gotta give UM some credit. They got Cam Kitchens as well.
Was that third or fourth?
Did they just,
that was a third.
A third. Ooh, that's rich.
They just drafted all of Florida.
I don't know. I think their draft was really balanced in terms of what they needed.
First two,
because I think offensively they're set because they do have talent on that side of the ball with
Puka.
Puka
Puka
Nacua. And they really went heavy on defense. Jared Verse, Brandon Fisk,
Yeah.
Blake Corum as a running back, which I think is a
Good
good pick.
What round was that? Third or fourth?
Third. Cam Kitchens, Brandon Jackson, edge rusher from Washington State, Tyler Davis, Clemson.
They drafted the kicker. Go ahead.
And then the kicker.
Yeah.
Josh Riccardi, who was not the best kicker, but the best kicker that they got drafted, the Jags got him. But anyways, I think the Rams hit it out of the ballpark in terms of like helping out their defense because Donald is one person, but he was the anchor of that defense, and they addressed it with their draft.
I think their top 4 picks were really good. You need an edge rusher. You got Jared Verse. You need to replace Donald. Fisk isn't going to replace Donald, but he's one of those high motor guys. I think Corum was a good pick, but I really think they got a lot of value out of Kitchens because he tested so poorly in the combine. And I think if I have not made it clear about my hatred for the combine, let me make it clear now.
I can't stand the combine.
I absolutely despise the NFL combine.
I
Cam Kitchens' tape, he makes some bad choices. Sure, he tries to go for big plays, and sometimes that leaves him out of position. But he was one of the top safeties in all of college football. And because he had a bad run in the combine, he fell off the boards. And I don't understand. It's the same thing that I said with Keon Coleman. He had a slow 40, but he had the fastest shuttle time. It's the same thing that happened with Puka Nacua. He had a horrible 40 time, but he runs the shuttle. And for everybody who doesn't know, the shuttle is where they do those, like, was it 5-6 passes? Where they just turn left, right, and they're just running a straight line. Keon Coleman was the fastest person to do that in the NFL draft. Cam Kitchens should not be graded on a slow 40 time when his tape tells a different story. So the fact that he fell to the third round, the Rams have a need at safety, and they got a player the caliber of Kitchens. And it's maybe some bias, but I do think there's great value in all 4 of their first picks. They need a running back because they haven't really had anybody establish themselves. Is Cam Akers still on that team? Like, because he shows up for about one quarter every 4 games where you're like,
I don't even.
That's why they drafted him, and then he disappears, right? So you do need someone like a Blake Corum where just hand the ball. He's somehow going to get you 3 to 4 yards.
Yeah.
So, but man, those FSU guys. Who's your second team?
Bills.
What?
Is it Bills?
No.
Okay, I was gonna just say because they drafted Coleman. So
you betcha. At great value.
Also,
at great value comes great
contracts.
That's true.
Defenses.
No, by the way, okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go.
Some people were making an argument as to why the Bills traded out of the first round because you don't get the 5th-year option for second rounders. So you could have gotten Keon Coleman for a guaranteed 5 years, but now you're only getting him for 4 because you traded out of the first round. And then you also gave the Kansas City Chiefs Worthy at wide receiver.
Oh,
so
yes. Yeah.
You're not only trading out of the first round, you're trading to your biggest rival, and you're giving the quarterback that doesn't need any help, here's a new toy. The guy who ran the fastest 40, which again, I hate the combine, but Xavier Worthy's tape does play fast. Anyways, sorry.
And my next one would be like up there with them is probably the Commanders. God awful team. They get their quarterback. They draft the next 2 picks on the defensive side of the ball with Newton and Sanstero. Or can I?
Newton's the defensive tackle.
Ristle?
Right? Newton's the defensive tackle.
Newton?
The Illinois one.
Yeah, Illinois.
Yeah.
And then they get their tight end for the future, in my opinion, Sinat from Kansas State, because Thomas is gone. Zach Ertz is 33 years old at a tough position to play at. And then
he's still playing.
That's the weirdest guy that'll get you 600 yards every year.
A guard and Luka McCaffrey in the later round, in the third round. I think overall, it was a balanced draft for them. I think they're not going to be as
Source?
They're going to be better than they were last year, but will it be improved? Like, they'll They won't win the division,
Well, I mean,
but they'll be definitely improved. from
they've
last
got
year.
Eric's favorite coach
So
at any side of the ball at any position.
those are my
God, I
two.
hate that man so much.
Those are my two winners.
Oh, but no, I mean,
What do you think?
well, I like it. The only thing that does, at that pick, like Washington needs to draft Jalen Daniels. Like
Jaden.
I guess
They've got a lot of talent on the outside.
Yeah,
though.
they
it's
do.
It's not overwhelming, but there's a lot of skill at
you
the.
see, like that's what I was talking about beforehand. With,
Yeah, I know.
with like you're gonna bring them into hey, there's people you can actually throw the ball to,
Yeah, but he's got
Scary
Cliff
Terry.
Kingsbury.
and then you have
coach.
yes,
Scary Terry Samuels.
Dotson, right?
We got
Dotson.
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 We got Dotson here. See, nobody cares.
No, I agree. I do want to ask you guys a quick question. What's your thoughts about Marvin Harrison Jr. not signing the NFLPA contract?
He's doing things differently. I'll say that he didn't do any workouts.
I think he's doing what is best for him, and he's not having any influence from people that he shouldn't have.
I think he's a trailblazer.
No, he's a Cardinal. He's not a basketball player. But no, but it's
Very interesting. Isn't
like
it?
I said, he's doing things different. He didn't sign with an agent. First of all, honestly, why would he need one? His dad's a Hall of Fame wide receiver. It's a rookie contract. All you have to do is sign
A piece of paper.
a piece of paper.
You know you're going to be drafted in the first round.
There's only that one weird clause in like the rookie contract that gets some people to not because something about like if they get injured, it's not fully guaranteed. It's some weird clause that some people fight over, but they usually just give it to him anyways. So it's not a big deal. So why are you going to pay 3% or 2% of your guaranteed money when all you literally have to do is
Sign the paper.
sign? Yeah, and again, you have your dad. Like,
Well, that's why I think it's very intriguing to me, just because
I don't have an issue.
your dad is a Hall of Famer, right? No, I don't have an issue with it either. I'm just so intrigued by it because that's a trendsetter. Like he's gonna
Trendsetter.
A transcendent trendsetter.
But I don't know. I think that was like something that I wanted to ask you guys to get it because right now his jersey can't be sold.
Yep. He's not going to be a Madden.
He's not going to be a Madden. So, like, is he going to start? Like it's so weird to see that on a player that's so young. But the reason why, and it's because of his father. I think his father said, "Hey, look, I went through it as I'm a Hall of Famer. I know exactly what you need."
But I think that also lends credibility to him by being associated with his dad because he's his
Yes.
son.
Imagine anybody doing that.
Because again, like there was rumors that like Caleb Williams' dad was a little like pushy.
Caleb, don't even get me started with Caleb Williams.
No, but
that
I'm
guy
saying-
looks like a dang diva.
But to prove your point about like how it brings, like it's a different voice for this issue. Because if Caleb and his dad are doing it, everybody's like, "Who are you?" Like,
Well, like you said, it's a credibility asset. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. like did not need he didn't need to do a draft. He didn't not a draft. He didn't need to do a combine. He didn't have to run. He didn't have to do anything. He just needed to show up. So,
and again, this is what I tell you guys.
He didn't even paint his fingernails.
I absolutely hate the combine because why does Marvin Harrison Jr. need to do anything? No. Anyway. So that wraps it up for our winners and losers. I was going to have one more winner, but it's not a big deal.
I'll just throw it in there.
The Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, man. Back to back.
Yeah,
Probably
that locker room's in shambles. So, yeah, they're going to need some new people in there.
Well,
but
Darius
they
Slay's
did
on the
well.
wrong side of 30.
They did well
got,
in terms of the defensive side of the ball. They
Yeah.
drafted possibly the two best corners.
And they needed them. Like it's not blow me away stuff, but it's something that they need and they address their needs. And they also they took care of some people over there, man. Devontae Smith signed. They got AJ Brown too, right? It's like they both signed AJ Brown and Devontae
And
Smith
Smith?
like 3
Oh, they
years
did?
deal. 3-year
Yeah.
deals. Yeah.
They should be better this year than they were last year.
I mean, if they're not, say goodbye to Nick Sirianni. Sirianni?
Damn, he's still on the team. Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, who got? Do they? Well, it depends. Are they gonna have what's his name as their offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator?
Well,
The guy from the Patriots? No, McDaniels. No, who was the guy who was?
Josh McDaniels?
No. Who
he's
was
still in the league?
I think he's on there. Or am I thinking of the other guy? Who was the guy who was the offensive coordinator, but he was always the defensive guy at New England?
No.
No.
The guy with the pencil?
Yeah.
Patricia.
Yeah, I think he might be.
Not Patricia. Oh, he's on that team?
I think he's. I don't know. They might have a bunch of Patriots.
Whoa.
Who knows? The Patriot way. One on that. So overall, folks, winners, losers, yada yada.
By the way,
The
now
end-
you say the Patriot way, let's hope that Jared Mayo doesn't fall under the crappy coaching carousel of history that Patricia has had, McDaniels has had. in terms
Romeo
of,
Crennel,
like no success as a head coach.
Eric Mangini.
Like I hope Mayo has.
Is there a worse coaching tree than Bill Belichick's coaching tree?
Like for all these coaches to come from Bill Belichick and to have all these like horrible seasons under like
Charlie Weiss.
prospective teams, it's very head scratching in my
Talk
opinion.
about a guy who got the bag, Charlie Weiss, man. Got paid for like 3 different teams at the same time.
That's the second time we bring that up in the podcast.
I love how like he sat at home and got paid by Kansas, by Notre Dame, and by.
By the way, it's the same transition too.
I know. Hey, when I hit my spots, brought to you, button. So
Shanahan's tree is better than Belichick.
thank you, because that man is a genius. Mike McDaniel, you're no, that's wrong, Shanahan. Kyle. By the way, now that you say that, I know we've talked about this once before, but that Washington team with Mike Shanahan as the coach, where it had Sean McVay, LaFleur,
Oh yeah.
Kyle
They literally
Shanahan.
had
There's like one guy that sticks out like a sore thumb. It's like no
Generational
success
talent.
whatsoever.
Who the hell is
That's a
this
coach.
guy?
That's a coach. That's a
generational
coach.
talent of coaches.
And you.
That really was a generational talent of coaches.
Speaking of generation, that's a generation. You talking about Caleb Williams generational? No, generational is that coaching staff.
Yeah, that coaching staff. They all have coaching jobs right now, right?
Yes. And that's it, folks. We'll catch you on the next one. We'll see if we do more drafts, but we're really looking forward to this Dolphin season. Oh, yeah, we got to let Eric do it. That's right. Eric, sign us off.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you did like what you hear today, we're always going to be bringing you that great content. But the only way you're going to listen to that. See,
I can't take it
you see, stop, man. See, hold on, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna just keep constantly bringing this content to you, and if you want to get these updates every single time, you just see the little button right there. Just get right there. I just don't want you to tap it. I don't want you to touch it. I want you to smash that button so you get those notifications, get these updates from our beautiful trio. You guys have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you back again soon.
On the next